Well, that I got a lot to live up to. You set me up. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we are awake, we are ready. So we are going to be continuing the summer series, Top 40 Theology, where we take a song that's relatively popular, hopefully, and we use it as a springboard or a jumping off platform to talk about something theological, big word for Bible stuff, okay? So I have a song. I'm going to give you a little bit of trivia. We'll see if you guys fare better than the first service. Dryden could not get it. I stumped him hard until I gave it away pretty much. So let's see if you guys can figure this one out. So this song was written and performed exclusively for an animated movie in 1995 and became the long-standing theme for the franchise that spanned the following 24 years with another installment coming next year. That's clue one. Second fact, that this song has been covered by other artists, by so many other artists, so many other times, that not even Google can figure out how many covers there are of this song. Okay? Vastly popular. Third thing, although it was nominated for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award the year it came out, it has never won any awards and never charted in the top 40, technically. Any guesses? Lion King? Nope. Wrong movie. But we're in animated movie territory. I'll give you another one.
You Got a Friend in Me?
Yes, Toy Story. You Got a Friend in Me by Randy Newman. Good job, Eric. You got it before I gave the really good clues. That kind of just gave it away. But so that song is an incredibly popular song. It's throughout the entire Toy Story franchise, and it focuses on friendship. That's a big focus of the franchise, of the song. So I'm just going to read a couple of the lyrics just because I found them kind of interesting. I'm not singing it. Don't ask. Don't expect it. If you need it sung, we can have Pastor Dave come up here and sing the song for us. But if not, you'll just have to deal with my reading. So the first verse says that when the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, then it goes into You've Got a Friend in Me. Again, not singing it. And then, so the other verse says that you've got trouble, I've got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, we can see it through. You've got a friend in me. So this song focuses on friendship, and we've all had friends in our lives at some point, whether you're a kid, teenager, or adult. I found I got less friends as I became an adult, and then more friends as I got older. I don't know how that works, but when I start talking about a good friend, maybe somebody comes to your mind, like, oh yeah, so-and-so, maybe when you were a kid, maybe now, like, yeah, they're a good friend. So what makes a good friend? We know it's good to have a good friend, but what makes a friend a good friend? Does the Bible show us what a good friend looks like? And here's another question that I was thinking through when I was doing this. Am I a good friend to others? Because it feels nice to have a good friend, yeah? Anybody? Yeah. Am I that friend for somebody else? So today we're going to talk for a few minutes about a passage in Mark chapter 2 that kind of shows us what some qualities of a good friend are. So we're going to be in Mark chapter 2 in verses 1 through 5. So it begins in verse 1. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. They gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door, and he preached the word to them. So at the beginning part here, Jesus has come to Capernaum. Capernaum was kind of like his unofficial home base. Whenever he wasn't traveling to other places, he kind of stayed there. And he was staying at someone's house, most likely Peter or Andrew, because Jesus didn't have a house. He just kind of stayed with people, which was his thing. And as expected, when Jesus showed up, what else showed up? People. Lots of people. The house was full, the doors were full, the windows were full, the streets began to fill. They were all there for one thing, Jesus, because Jesus was the miracle guy. He was the guy that healed people. He had developed a following. So we pick up in verse 3. It says, some men came, bringing to him a paralyzed man carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." So I want to take a couple minutes. We're going to talk about 3 different types of friends, or really 3 qualities of a good friend. Okay? And then we'll talk about what that looks like for us. So one aspect of a good friend is that they are a friend that carries burdens. We see in verse 3 that says some men. Now, it doesn't specifically say that they were friends of the paralyzed man, but I challenge you to find 4 random men to help you with anything, let alone carrying a paralyzed man across the town to go see Jesus. So he was carried by 4 of them. So I was thinking about it. How heavy was this guy? So he was a paralyzed man on a mat, and they carried the mat. If you're familiar with competition weightlifting, there's a category called the farmer's carry. The farmer's carry was recognized because farmers carry a lot of things. And the farmer's carry is real simple. You pick something up, and you carry it. I know, right? The current recognized record for the farmer's carry is 413 pounds per hand for like 20 meters. Not a long distance, but that's a lot of weight. So I was thinking about this, and so I was like, well, how much could an average person carry? Because I don't think we have any competition weightlifters in the building. Maybe Pastor Dwayne, he might be close. But so the average man can carry approximately 45 pounds for about 100 meters before either having failure of grip or having to put it down because they're getting wiped out. 45 pounds, that's like a little over 5 gallons of milk in one hand. Not a lot, but for over a distance is a while. And so if this man and his mat weighed approximately 170 pounds, they're carrying about 42 pounds per hand. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing it and you're in the sun and you're walking, I spent time yesterday, just saying, working in the sun most of the hot hours of the day. You know, I waited until the sun was all the way out, and I worked through the middle of the day, and it was warm. And I was carrying fence posts, and we have a split rail fence with like 8-foot long like logs. And I was carrying them from the front of the house to the back of the house, from the front of the house to the back of the house, back and forth, back and forth. And I tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot when you're out in the sun, and it's exhausting. So I can only imagine how tired these guys must have been carrying their friend, because not only do they just have to carry him, they have to make sure he doesn't roll over, or they don't drop him. And if somebody gets tired, they all have to set him down. They all have to pick him back up. So there's a lot of coordination there. So these guys must have been good friends to be able to carry their friend, to carry his burden in search of a miracle. They were going to Jesus for one thing, so he would be able to walk again. That was his purpose of having them carry him. Galatians tells us to carry each other's burdens so that we would fulfill the law of Christ. We all have issues and burdens. Anybody got an issue? I have an issue. We all have issues. Burdens, finances, relationships, work, family, vehicles. I mean, if we start listing burdens and issues that we have in our lives, the list kind of just doesn't stop. It just keeps going. We all have burdens. But the load gets a little bit lighter when someone's helping you carry your troubles. So this paralyzed man had a physical burden and needed help from his friends. He needed his friends to come around him, to lift him up and bring him to the place of relief, I guess you could say, to Jesus, to his miracle. And that's the same thing that we are called to do, is to carry each other's burdens. It's tough doing things on your own. It's tough feeling like you're by yourself. But we are not by ourselves. We have each other. Another aspect or quality of a good friend is friends that go for the long haul. Verse 4 tells us that they could not get to Jesus. So these men had walked this whole distance from wherever they came from in Capernaum to where Jesus was staying, and they couldn't get to him. Again, house is full, people everywhere. Had those friends completed their obligation to the paralyzed friend? To bring him to Jesus. Technically, they made it to Jesus, just couldn't get all the way to him. They didn't let that stop them. It's not always about meeting the request exactly as asked. They fulfilled their obligation to get him to Jesus. How many times in our lives do we fulfill an obligation or a request made to us? Fulfill exactly, to the letter. I did what you asked me to do. God is not expecting us to meet the minimums. He wants us to go above and beyond. Matthew chapter 5 tells us that if anyone forces you to go a mile, to go with them 2 miles. This is referring to the Roman soldiers. They could compel any citizen to carry their gear for a mile. Jesus said, if you're going to go 1, take it a second mile. Now, if he expects that from his followers for somebody they would consider an enemy, what more does he expect for our friends, the people that we call friends? Then it says that they made an opening. So these friends of his knew what it meant to follow through. They were going the distance with their friend to see Jesus and to get him his miracle. So they get to the house, they can't get in. So what do? Like good friends, they say, let's go to the roof. So after carrying their friend, they decide to carry him up onto the roof, get on their hands and knees, and begin digging a hole through the mud, through the dirt, through the thatching, removing tiles, so they could lower their friend safely through the roof right in front of Jesus. How many times in our lives have we missed an opportunity to make an opening? An opportunity in the lives of the people around us to make a way. Yeah, we invited them to church, but did we invest in that invitation? Did we go above and beyond to ensure that, you know what, you need your miracle, we're going to make sure you get to Jesus? Romans chapter 5 tells us the benefits of persevering, of going the distance. Tells us that that there's glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. And the perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope doesn't put us to shame because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. So we see that we have that suffering, doing hard things at not benefit to us, and no benefit to us, produces perseverance, that stick-to-itiveness. I am, as a parent, I want my kids to be people of character. So I give them opportunities to do hard things, to develop perseverance so that they could develop character. And what does character produce? Hope. Hope. Can anybody here use a little bit more hope in their life? Nobody? All right. Wrong audience. Could anybody use maybe a little bit more hope in their life, in their situations, in their issues, in what's going on? God's love has been poured out to us. We have a friend in Jesus, better than any friend that we could be to each other. Because we have such a love poured out to us, that we in turn need to pour that out to other people, to be that friend, to be that person, to help bear each other's burdens. So the third thing that we find in this passage with in regards to traits of a good friend is that they are friends that are faithful. Verse 5, it says that Jesus saw their faith. Jesus recognized the faith of the paralyzed man and the faith of his friends as well. It was a group effort. Jesus knew that they were there, why they were there, for that physical healing, and he was moved by their faith to do something unexpected. So they came for physical healing, but what did Jesus do? He showed that he had the authority to meet the deepest need that man had. It's the same need that we have. that everyone has, is the need for forgiveness. The Old Testament Bible, the Old Testament, which was their Bible back then, was very clear that sin was the great separator from God, and Jesus just showed them and everyone there that he had the authority in the area that we need a miracle. Not just physical, but forgiveness. Now, he does heal the man physically as well. It's a great story. If you haven't read Mark 2 in a while, give it a read. It's a great interaction with the Pharisees. He does a lot of cool stuff. That's your homework for the week. Your faith as a friend to others can have an impact greater than you expect or know. God has placed people in our lives and placed us in the lives of other people for a reason. His friends were not sure of what was going to happen. They had faith that Jesus would heal them. So the question is that what blessing can you bring into the lives of others by your faith? What blessing can you bring to the lives of the people around you just by your faith? So we're told that one of the benefits of our faith influencing others, in Hebrews chapter 10, it says about that let's consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. This is a main reason why we as a church, we encourage people to do life together through backyard barbecues, through VBS, through all the different events that we do. We don't do events just to have fun. We do events for each other. We do events to have community with people, with each other, with people in our community. And the reason we do that is because we make each other better. We spur each other towards love and good deeds. You have an influence on the people in this body. So, how can you be a better friend? That's the question, right? We're talking about being a good friend. How can we be better friends? I'll give you 3 simple steps. 1, 2, and a 3. First thing, be aware. Part of being a good friend is not putting blinders on regarding the burdens to those around us. American culture has us very individualistic, very tunnel vision. I am concerned about what happens in my life, in my situations. If people can help me with my stuff, that's great, but their stuff, that's their stuff. This is my stuff. We need to open our eyes and be aware of the people around us, because if you have burdens, if you have issues, guess what? The person next to you probably has something similar going on in their lives. Maybe not exactly, but people have issues and burdens that we need to be aware of. Proverbs 21 tells us that whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. We can't ignore the hurt and issues around us. We are being called to open our eyes, to see the hurt. Now, seeing is helpful, correct? What's better than seeing? Doing. Second thing that we can do is be willing. Seeing hurt in the lives of those around us, or issues that people have, or burdens that they're carrying, is part of being a better friend. We also must be willing to do something. We are not called to just recognize the problem and say, yep, that's not good. But rather, we are called to step in and be a help, a solution, a blessing to those that are around us. Hebrews chapter 13 tells us to not forget to do good and to share with others, for such a sacrifice pleases God. Don't forget. Does anybody have any memory issues? I do. Don't forget to do good and share with others. What are you sharing? Whatever you got. If all you have is some good words to share with them in a tough time, share them. Do good. This pleases God. All right. Parents. We have parents. Kids, we have kids. If you're not a parent, you were a kid at one point. All right, so as a parent, can you love your children more than you love them right now? I got a no over here. All right, so can you love your children any less than you love them right now? No. Matthew. A parent's love is steady for their kids. Now, are you always pleased with your children? No. Sometimes our kids make choices that are maybe not so pleasing on our end. We still love them. It doesn't change how we feel about them. God still loves us no matter what. His love stays the same for us. It's a steady, unchanging love. But we can do things that he asks us to do that are pleasing to him. Who wants to make God happy? Oh, yeah. 2, awesome. Who wants to please God with their life? There we go. Being a good friend, being a better friend is a way that you can please God. It makes him happy. Third thing that we can do. So we can be aware, we can be willing, and we can be second. Matthew 22 tells us to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it too. Love your neighbor as yourself. So in that hierarchy of who to love and take care of, you love God, you love others, and you're somewhere down in that mix. Even though it revolves around our actions, we must be humble in our obedience. Being a good friend requires action from us. Even when our faith brings us close to a blessing or a miracle or closer to God, or brings our friends closer, that we need to understand that we didn't do the great thing. That great thing that happened was because of God's call and empowerment through the Spirit in our lives. So, on our own, we cannot accomplish the things that God has placed in our lives to do. We cannot do it on our own. It is through his empowerment that we accomplish what he has for us. Philippians 2 gives us a good look at this. It says, not to do anything out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of the others. The Bible is full of scriptures that put a huge emphasis on the humility of believers in their conduct and their motivations. They're always telling you, be aware of your place. You are working with God. You are not doing these things on your own. You are not the person that gets the glory for this. You are partnering with God to accomplish his will in your life and in the lives of the people around you. So if we can have the worship team come up. So being a good friend. What is a good friend? A friend that carries burdens. A friend that goes the distance. A friend that is faithful. So as we go through this week, let's commit to being the kind of friend who carries burdens and goes the distance. And as we do this, we'll not only bless those around us, but we'll also honor God, who calls us to love those around us the same as we take care of ourselves.